it's also very enriching, but the whole process has been, for me, a big wake-up, because I realized how complex actually the meanings behind it, you know, as an adult. As a child, they probably look at the proverb more literally, they look at the meaning, you know, but as an adult, I feel that while I was doing research, I was discovering proverbs I had never heard of before. But I said, this is our heritage, you know, these are things that would actually use. Besides the common ones that are still being used today, we are still, I have also dug up some really real gems and some hilarious ones as well. One of my favorites, which I found, was the fatter the pig, the smaller its eyes become. And in Malay, it sounds so rude. It sounds so rude. But it is so funny because, and it's about a person who, the richer, the wealthier he gets, the less he sees of the rest of the world, the more self-important he becomes. So, and using the pig as an analogy, I thought it was brilliant because, as what she quoted from Francis Bacon, that the wit of the nation is in its proverbs, and where do you find such wit? So I was enjoying myself silly during, you know, despite I was just telling her I was frozen inside the Lee Kong Chian Reference Library, doing some research, but it was a very, very worthwhile process. It has made me understand the psyche of the Malay community a lot better. In case you're wondering why, it's because I'm not a pure Malay, but I teach Malay. So sometimes there are things that I don't quite understand about the race. So, but when I was doing the research, it's an eye-opener. You get into the people, you know, you sort of feel what they were feeling. And I grew up, I got a little bit of kampong life when I was growing up. But, and I was lucky, so I could identify with things that were in the proverbs. But the children today don't see that. So when I was doing that, I realized how big the gap has become, and how this book can actually bridge that gap, like I said just now. I really, really had a lot of learning while doing this research for this book, for this project. It's been more than worthwhile experience. I also, besides learning about the culture, the language, I've also made it, it's also touched me in a way that I was just wondering, as Prof said also, you know, how does this proverb in Malay, is there a possibility that there's a similar one in Hokkien, in Mandarin, in Tamil, you know, and where can we like cross-reference that one? So that was what struck me as well while I was doing the research. So perhaps, you know, we need to go that way later on. Yeah. But it's also, sorry, just to say one more thing, what was interesting is that it's not just Singapore proverbs. We can't actually lay claim on, because Malay is spoken by Malaysians, Malay is spoken by Indonesians, Bruneians. We can't actually lay claim on all these proverbs as ours, but it's spoken by the Malays in Singapore, it's used by us. Yeah, so they're not, I know Malaysians might, I don't know if they will, but they might question, how do you call the Singapore proverbs when it's also used in our country?
Perhaps that's why what you say about finding out the underlying reason, how the proverb came about, and that will give a history of how probably trace it back to India or China, Asia.
Because to say specifically it's from Singapore, I don't think it's possible. Even for the Tamil proverbs, I think they all came from India, you know? So,
I think the way we call it Singapore proverbs is what's used here and probably what we know from school.
Yeah.